Go into the bedroom. Here's one of the babies that's just teeny tiny. This is a very small, like, sized snake plant. And that snake plant can have, oh, I didn't like that. And that snake plant can have any home. I made this macrame. Maybe my sister made it. I feel like I did. I think I did. Anyway, this is her pot, and it had a jade in it, I think. Very healthy, prolific jade. And then I put all of these happy, healthy snake plants. I can't get up high enough to show you, but I love that their variegation is dark and healthy when they're, I think there's like 4 in there. Again, I just put like a small slight dribble down each of their leaves in the center. If I can. Sometimes I just put them in the dirt, but it's like, you know, like I said, like not even maybe a tablespoon per each little cluster. I think there's 4 in there. And then over here, we've got the big granddaddy. This is the one where you see all of its lovely fenestrations. It got attacked by humans walking past it. And it's still got all these leaves that I am in love with. And it didn't have, this is the worst staking job ever. But it's as tall as I've got of a bamboo, a decent sized bamboo. And since the dirt doesn't like to be moist and hold itself in place, it just leans. I will fix that later. But it threw out a new leaf right here. This guy is new. I want to say that was like a month ago. Anyway. But he's already got an he's already got an air root. And all of these roots, like I said, I try to put them in the soil, and here's why. Because, like I said, in nature, they wrap around trees and get moisture and nutrients from the bark of the tree and any other plant and animal life that happens to leave its nutrients on its habitat. So I just like to redirect the roots back into the pot. And so underneath there is a lot of roots going down. It's a pretty big chunk of a root. And this was the original, so I think I probably had to pot it lower into the dirt because it was leaning so heavily. So more of it might have been out originally whenever I repotted them a couple years ago, but underneath there was where one of these two had a smaller under thing. So like a lot more of this was out. This would have been, you know, up here. And then closer to the dirt, there was this other thing growing off of it that had younger looking leaves that didn't have any fenestrations. They still don't. That's the ones that were in the bathroom, I think. And it was grafted onto the trunk, but under the dirt. When I peeled back the dirt, and you could see there was some sort of mesh. Look at how healthy he is. There was some sort of mesh happening, holding it in place. That is not a good video. Holding it in place on the main trunk underneath the dirt. And I took it apart and made it into its own pots. And like this one, you can see where I cut a big chunk, probably the one in the bathroom. So I cut it here, and it would have had growth here, similar to what it has grown. It would have had growth out there, a big chunk of it, and I cut it off and rooted the bits, you know, like if it was here, it would have had growth out. Then all of this would have gone in the dirt. I removed the leaf, or if the leaf was even there, it might not have been there, it might have already fallen off. Oops. And then put this root in the dirt. And again, this soil doesn't have as much. It does have some charcoal and some bark, but it doesn't have as much as some of the others, I think. I'm not sure why. Or maybe it's just not at the surface. And then over here, I've got this guy that I said looks a little bit like a pine tree to me. Pine? Absolutely not pine. It looks a little bit like palm. It's not. It was this tiniest little thing that I got from, I feel like it was like IKEA or something. I don't know. But it was about, let's see, it was just like this last little bit tall. And it was like two branches, but they were so thin and frail like this. And they are pretty frail. They can fall apart if you're not careful. But they were short. They were like this tall coming out of the thing. And it keeps dropping its own little leaves. And it has this problem right here where it'll get the tips problematic. Again, with the temperature problems in the house, there's no way of knowing what I did. Too much water, too little water. It's been in lots of environments. It's lost a lot of leaves. I thought it was dead at one point. All of its leaves were turning brown, and somehow it still lived. I just left it alone after that. See, it gets crispy. There's one leaf here that's crispy. The rest of it is fine on this branch. Weird. Anyway, and it even has this side branch growing out. This one I'm so happy about. It's weird. Like this bit right here, you can see. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? It's blue. It's blue. Like, what's that about? The leaves are not, but the branch, just that branch, is blue. And it's not the bedroom. It's not my lighting either. Anyway, I don't know. I had it in the bathroom. I had it in the bathroom in the studio for a while. That's probably its worst location. I thought it would be good because it would get moisture, you know, like palm trees. Hello. I don't know. It was also probably root bound and packed and all that stuff. So when I put it in here, it was probably maybe this tall. This tall. Oh, that's not helpful. That tall. But now it's that tall. It's pretty amazing. That's one of those plants you buy for decoration that most people throw in the trash. And a lot of people told me to. Even my daughter was like, why don't you just get rid of it? And I'm so happy because it's alive and thriving now. And even if it loses leaves, it's not going to die. I mean, I could kill it, but let's not do that. This one, I've been like, what is this about? These are ones that I got. This is a macrame thing I think I got from IKEA or Walmart or Target or something. Anyway, it's this really cool, similar to that other one down here. I think that it was a gift or something like that. Yeah, I think somebody gave it to me for Mother's Day years back. And it was super, super tiny. And I was like, well, it's probably going to die. And I think the plants around it did die, which I was sad about. Because I, at that point, couldn't keep a plant alive to save my life. But, like, look at, there's one ginormous leaf and then all these little bitties. And what I do with this, I don't know if I'm supposed to, and I really don't care, is I will turn this thing 180 degrees, sometimes 90, to give, you know, because it likes to go toward the sun. And all this new growth is, you know, since the temperature in the house has gotten back up to normal. And I opened the window for a couple of weeks whenever we had decent temperatures outside. And it gets pretty decent water once or twice a week, just whenever I feel like it's pretty hardy now that it's well established. I mean, it's pretty happy looking. Not gonna lie, I kind of love it. Anyway, it was a gift. I think it was mine. I don't think it was my sister's. Anyway, if it is, then I guess she can have it back. But it's a pretty happy guy. It's like, back in the day when we were kiddos, I used to daydream about having this English ivy, and in my brain it always had these pointy leaves like this. I don't think it ever does, but this to me is what it would have looked like, and I'm glad to have it inside my house instead of outside, because English ivy is, or any of those kinds of ivies, tend to be pretty invasive, and this one doesn't seem to want to do a whole lot of overgrowth. At least not in this space. Maybe it would if I... No, we're not trying to give it more water. Anyway, and then over here, there's my outside world, is another jade. Okay, see, I've made this macrame thing out of these strings. Anyway, another matching pot that came from my sister. This is one of the original jades, but it got trimmed, relocated. I think she said that she thought that it was going to die multiple times in her care, and she never expected it to live past the move into here, let alone the move out of here. But I took a bunch of branches from it, and when I took clippings, I repotted everything, and then once the clippings had hardened off and gotten air roots, I had planted them. This one still only just has whatever was original to it. And that might have been that, I don't remember. I think there's a little bit that's grown. The cool thing is that since the girls moved out and since all of that stuff, since I've repotted all this stuff, since it's living up off of things and it doesn't get overwatered or anything, again, I will twist it every once in a while. I do the ones in the bathroom this way too. I will move the jades and turn them 90 degrees or 180 degrees to let them not all go toward the sun. I want them to kind of like grow up, not toward the sun. So they'll grow toward the sun for a while, and then you can see like this one is like turning toward the sun. And then when you turn them like this one, you can see he went that way and then he went that way, and then I just turned him, I think, a couple weeks ago. But like all of this is, whoopsie, all of this is new growth. All of this stuff right here, all of this right here. I think like it was probably like this tall when I repotted them, and maybe had like one, it was starting to have another side bit, or it might have been that the leaf fell off when I was repotting and then it grew its side bit. I don't know. All I know is that I took a bunch of bits off of it, and apparently once you pinch them, they are supposed to like do this thing where they branch off and do two things, but I don't think that's true every time. I don't know. We'll see. Down here, I have my favorite green shamrocks in their original pot, but they have been repotted, I think 3 times over the course of the last 23 years. And you see they pop up. Whoopsie. That's not what I meant to do. There we go. Look at him. There he is. There's a new leaf coming out. I'm not sure why there aren't any flowers in here. Look at all the babies. But the rhizomes on here are pretty hardy, and they like to be indoors or outdoors, which is pretty amazing. This one, like I said, I think the green ones are slightly more fragile. Not severely so, but slightly more fragile, and they're not super finicky or anything. I don't know what's going on here with the leaf. Maybe they did. This one, again, you know, like they get the end of the water of the pot sometimes, and I don't like to overwater them, although it's hard to overwater them if you have them in the proper pot, with drainage. You can, like, there's rocks on the bottom of that pot, and it's super heavy because it's ceramic. And then as long as you drain whatever excess, and as long as their soil is decent, it's not like super draining soil. And they're rhizomes, so they can't be super far into the ground. But the rhizomes grow and multiply underneath the dirt, and then you want to eventually, after a couple of years, separate them out and give them more space and repot the extras, which is what I've done. And then over here, the last one in this room is, I think this was part of the original second plant, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, because like this looks like one of the original leaves. I think it lost a leaf recently too. Maybe it didn't. No, I think this one and that guy are the only ones that didn't lose leaves this winter when I screwed everything up. Which is weird because they have the same dirt, and they had, like, at one point I was watering them, which is, in retrospect, is the stupidest thing, but I was watering them till the water ran through and was, like, at the bottom there. But then it would be gone, at the end of the week. So once a week I would water them. And then again, they all got yellow, so I realized that was too much. Put my hands in there and realized, again, if you put your hands at the top of the soil, it's not necessarily going to be wet, but if you put your hands 2.5 inches in, it's going to be moist, and that's a problem. It doesn't want to stay that way. Anyway, it has all these fenestrations. So exciting. So its ear got damaged, but that's okay. He's still alive. So you can see, like, it turned off this way and kept going, and then it was like it would go like down, and it was all over the place. So I think there was originally, there was a leaf here was going into the wall. There was another leaf here was going to the wall. I had guests over. It was in a different place. It was like over there. It was in the corner of the room. It was in this corner of the room by itself. The bed was situated a different direction, and somebody ran into it while they were changing the sheets after they were leaving, and I was like, dude, I don't need you to change the sheets. Also, you broke the leaf. And they were like, oh, well, we'll just put it in water and it'll live. No, they do not live. It's like cutting grass and putting it in water and expecting it to grow roots. So when I cut the excess off and made it into the stuff in the other bedroom, it has grown all of this since then. All of this. And its most recent leaf is this one, which does not have a fenestration. The one before it does, which is weird to me. I do not understand how it decides. But since I wrapped it around this pole, meaning I didn't wrap it, I leaned it on this one, and wrapped its roots around, like one of the roots is actually growing up, and then it'll grow back down. Whatever. Who cares? It's going to be in the dirt. That's all that matters. Once I got it attached to there and these other leaves kind of got damaged and fell off, again, now it's in the corner and it will move all of its leaves this direction. So if I feel it, I can see right here, I don't know if you can see that. Of course you can't. Why would you be able to see what I need to show you? Right there. You see that? Right here. This guy is like a spine growing. This is where the new leaf is going to come out next. And it'll come out this way, but it'll still face the sunward, which is cool. But over here, you can see how all the leaves are in all the directions. That's because, first of all, it was not attached to support until about a year or so ago. And what I try to do is, like this one, see, this leaf is going that way, and it needs to be attached to the base. So what I'm going to end up, why am I taking a photo of that? I'm going to end up pulling it here and pulling this branch up because it's got a new, you can probably see that one really well. Yeah, see? The new leaf is coming out. It's actually going to be swelling. It's going to be pretty soon. So it'll come out that way and then be leaning again. So what I want to do is pull this back up, which I will do when I straighten this. I will release this leaf, pull this leaf up as close to this as I can, and then the new baby leaf will be off to the side again. But what I don't want to do is have it drooping too much into the floor again. It's already got a lot of leaves from originally. It's got a lot of leaves going the opposite direction of the sun, which is fine. And this one lives in the sun. Well, part of the day. I guess it gets afternoon sun, and it gets indirect. No, it gets direct sun in the morning. The morning sun comes over this way. And then now, since it's summer, direct downward sun does not make it in past that part of the windowsill. And then evening, afternoon sun, because it's like 4 now, will come into the window there. And it doesn't seem to hate that sun at all. It doesn't get blanched or anything, so I guess, or sun bleached, so it's fine. But I guess I could put it, because there's so much refracted sun from the bed and stuff, I could put it in the corner over here, and maybe I will eventually, once all that stuff is moved. And then just let it live there. And, but at this point, usually what I end up doing is moving it there at night when I close the windows and moving it back into window space when I open them, just so that it gets as much sun as possible. Because I also don't want it sitting in the corner not getting any. The direct sun is going to help whatever overwatering I might actually do. Anyway, next room.